Watching Coraline is a thrill I'll never get over, even though I've watched it many, many times. I keep thinking about it while I'm watching, you know? It's for kids. It's a children's movie, so there's no reason to be scared. But at the same time, if we stop to understand Coraline's story, even lazily, on a very superficial level, there's something evil there. This evil thing spies on happy children's lives through the eyes of a doll so it can figure out how to lure them into its trap and devour their souls. It's literally the scariest thing I could imagine if I were 10 years old. Watching this movie can put a smile on any unhappy child's face still. The atmosphere is built so exceptionally that you can't help but feel nervous while watching. From the beginning, with that eerie little tune and the scene where we see the doll being unstitched and prepared, you already know it's going to be wild. Then we're introduced to that dark, rainy, lifeless world, the real world of the film, where dinner isn't always something delicious. You're not always allowed to do what you really want, and sometimes you barely get any attention from your parents. In the real world, maybe no one listens to you, or at best, they pretend. This atmosphere just keeps intensifying throughout the film. Peaking when Coraline has to find her parents and the eyes of the ghost children. Otherwise, the beldam will devour her soul and sew buttons over her eyes. And when the ghosts explain to Coraline what the beldam did to them, that scene is so good and so heavy. The way their voices sound and the way they move as they explain it is haunting. What they say in that explanation is just sinister. I remembered that scene for a long time. Poor ghost kids, man. Other scenes that also leave you with that feeling of anxiety include the one where Coraline goes to retrieve the ghost eye from the circus owner with the mice. The way he moves when the mice control him is terrifying. And when Coraline says he's just a clone that the beldam made of the real guy, his voice distorts as he says he's not even that anymore, showing that his body is actually made up of a bunch of rats.
You're just a copy she made of the real Mr. B.
Not even that anymore.
It's pretty disturbing. The scene with the actresses inside the cocoon is also bizarre and a bit scary, but in the book, it's way creepier, like a lot of other things. But honestly, none of this compares to the moment when Coraline refuses to obey the beldam, and the beldam says she'll count to 3. If anyone asks what trauma is, you could show them that scene. The beldam distorts, grows, and becomes skinny. I'm sure that scene traumatized a lot of people.
1, 2, 3!
Later on, the beldam even appears in an even scarier form, basically like a spider, but that doesn't even compare to the moment when she distorted her body. That part was so surprising the first time that it's unforgettable. However, it's not just the horror element that makes this movie amazing. Quite the opposite. Coraline is a film full of details, situations, and subtleties that you probably won't catch the first time you watch it. For example, there's the circle of mushrooms known as a fairy ring near the entrance to the well. Some people associate these fairy rings with danger and witchcraft, which makes sense since the well is quite dangerous in the movie. There's also the picture of the boy with the ice cream, which changes depending on whether she's in the other world or not. Then there are the hints the fake father gives that something is very wrong, or the fact that the doll that gets taken apart at the beginning looks just like the ghost girl we see later. That's because the beldam uses a doll to observe and lure the girl into her trap before she does the same with Coraline. Beyond the details, the film is also surrounded by countless theories, like the one about the well being an alternative entrance to the other world, or the theory that Coraline never truly escaped from the other world. And honestly, that makes a lot of sense. People come up with so many theories because the movie is extremely mysterious and leaves quite a lot open-ended throughout the story. Coraline was extremely neglected by her parents, who were always busy working, and her wants and needs were never fulfilled. No one truly paid attention to her, and in the real world, people didn't even say her name correctly. This obviously caused a lot of frustration and a deep feeling of loneliness, which led her to be deceived by what she so desperately wanted, ultimately causing her to fall into a trap. However, Coraline teaches us that in the toughest moments, when it feels like you can't go on, that's when you need to let courage speak louder and do what needs to be done, even if you're scared. You can see that throughout the movie, she's often scared, but she doesn't let it show, and she doesn't give up fighting. In the end, she learns that even though the things she has might seem bad or aren't exactly what she wanted, it's always possible to lose them, and then it's no use realizing the value of something once it's gone. So, just be grateful for what you have. If you've watched this far, here are 2 pieces of advice. First, don't go into mysterious doors that open in the middle of the night. And second, subscribe to the channel. See you soon!